spousal support is set at $1,200 per month, and you'll continue paying the home mortgage of $700 for child support and health insurance until your child turns 18. Plus, if your child goes to college, you'll cover those expenses too, the judge stated. That ruling would cost me over $4,500 every month. Despite my wife's affairs with several lawyers in her firm, I was the one feeling screwed. I am Dave Cooper and my ex-wife is Jessica. Our daughter, Emma, means the world to me. She wanted me to have custody, but the judge ruled otherwise. The trial felt unjust, especially with the high monthly support given Jessica's income. It seemed the judge was biased against me, but I wasn't about to take it lying down. I planned to make Jessica regret crossing me. I have a knack for seizing opportunities, even if some were shady in the past. Now I'm into real estate and own various businesses, including a coin change company. My coin change business allows me to pay the $1,200 spousal support in coins, making it inconvenient for Jessica. Let her deal with taking them to the bank and counting them with her lawyer buddies. Jessica stayed home with Emma until she started school, then became a paralegal. She quickly climbed the ladder, catching the eye of a rising lawyer who hired her as his assistant. Looking back, I wonder if she was trading favors even then. As her career progressed, she insisted on moving to a fancier neighborhood to flaunt our success, despite my preference for our current Maplewood home. So we bought a $700,000 house in Riverview, decorating it to her taste, but I never felt at ease there. Reflecting on it now, we had different life goals. I preferred a simpler lifestyle, while she wanted to show off our wealth. Now back to the judge's ruling in our divorce. I intended to follow his instructions, though Jessica wouldn't be pleased. In the following month, I made arrangements. My daughter would get her child support, but Jessica wouldn't see a cent. It would go directly to Emma's account. Emma would also have good health insurance, while Jessica would get a high-deductible policy. After the 30 days passed, it was time for Jessica's first spousal support payment. I had an armored truck deliver it to her house. Confused, she stood with a friend as bags of change were unloaded, drawing the attention of curious neighbors who watched as the change was emptied onto her floor. As the truck left, she yelled at me, but I just waved and shouted back, "Hope you enjoy your money from your lover." A man approached me on Tuesday asking if I was Dave Cooper, but I stayed silent. He took a photo of me with the summons he had, and when I didn't take it, he dropped it, saying, "You've been served," and left. After he left, I picked up the summons, realizing I had court next Wednesday, giving me a week to prepare. I spent the week getting ready for court and discussing matters. Emma joined me for lunch, upset with her mom. I warned her that I might end up in jail if the judge didn't agree. On court day, we waited with my lawyer. When Jessica and her lawyer arrived, they taunted me. Emma tried to speak up, but the judge scolded her for interrupting, believing accusations against me favoring Jessica. My lawyer said, "Judge, we don't know about any accusations, and none have been brought up before. I'm talking about a report from a psychiatrist I got. With that info, I'm sticking to my decision, so that's settled. 4 months ago, Emma was struggling with her divorce and school, so we had her talk to a psychiatrist. Jessica must have seen something in those notes that she thought would help her win with the judge. I've never done anything inappropriate with my daughter. Jessica was trying to make me look like a terrible person. I was getting really upset. I couldn't believe Jessica would lie like that, accusing me of something I didn't do. The judge wouldn't even listen to my side. I glared at the judge. He'd regret this. Looks like Jessica's law firm was calling the shots. Well, see how they do in the end. My need for revenge was starting to show. Jessica's lawyer said, "We want the court to say Dave Cooper did something wrong." My lawyer was getting as mad as I was. He could see there wouldn't be any fairness today. "Your Honor, my client has done everything the divorce agreement asked. There's no reason to say he did something wrong. Your Honor, Jessica's lawyer said he gave her the monthly payment, but it was all in change, mostly pennies and nickels. It damaged the floor and took a lot of time to clean up." "So," asked the judge. "It caused a mess and damage," said Jessica's lawyer. My lawyer was quick to speak before the judge had a chance. "Judge, according to Section 5, 13 of Title 31 United States Code, coins and bills are accepted as payment for all debts, including spousal support. My client has paid everything he's supposed to, including insurance, mortgage, and child support, Your Honor. Jessica's lawyer chimed in, "As of now, my client hasn't got any child support from Mr. Cooper." "That's true, Your Honor," my lawyer said, "but the child support money has gone directly to his daughter for whatever she needs. You can confirm with her." The judge seemed confused. He looked at Emma, who nodded in agreement. "We've got proof of payment for insurance and mortgage," my lawyer added. I glanced at Jessica and her lawyer. They seemed panicked. "Your Honor," he said, "paying in change is tough for my client. Can we switch to checks in the future?" Finally, the judge got a word in. "That sounds fair," but before he could say more, my lawyer jumped in again. "Your Honor, could you answer a few questions first?" "And what would those be?" he asked. "Are the Riverview Police part of the legal system there?" The judge seemed puzzled. "Yes, they are." "Then why?" my lawyer pressed. "If my client's car is impounded and he wants to get it back from the Riverview Police impound, can't he pay with a check? He has to use cash or a credit card instead." The judge stumbled over his words. My lawyer kept going. "If the police, who you admit are part of Riverview's legal system, won't accept a check, why should my client have to pay future spousal support with one?" The judge, looking foolish now, got defensive. "Because this is my court and I make the rules." I'd had it by then, so I stood and said, "You're the law here, just trying to please my wife's law firm. Were you involved with her too?" He lost it. "Mr. Cooper, you're in contempt of court. You're sentenced to 6 months in Riverview County Jail unless you apologize and agree to whatever I say." "Who do you think you are, the king of this messed-up court?" I yelled. The judge was stunned. He probably had never been talked to like that before. "Take him away." I glanced at Jessica and her lawyer. They were shocked. "Good luck getting your dirty money now, witch." I grinned. She had no idea how much her life was about to change. I got taken to holding, had to strip down, then got moved to the jail. Jail is a nicer word than what it really is. It's more like a prison. Right off the bat, 2 guards started hassling me about disrespecting the judge. I wasn't scared of being in jail. I'm 64 and weigh around 255 pounds, mostly muscle. Keeping up with my rental properties kept me in shape, plus I had spent some time in juvie when I was younger. They processed me, then led me to the cell yard. I blocked out all the noise and commotion. My plan was to keep to myself and watch my back. As long as nobody bothered me, I'd blend in. When they served dinner that night, I grabbed my tray and went through the line. I leaned against a wall, eating while checking out the other guys trying to act tough. Then over the noise, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. Tex. Back in my delinquent days, my street buddies called me Tex. "Tex," said Randall, a.k.a. Ringer, "what are you doing in here?" As he came closer, all eyes turned to us. I set my tray down and gave him a bro hug, right hands clasped together and my other arm around his shoulders. "Ringer, man, it's good to see you. How have you been?" "Not great, obviously. I'm in here." "And you? What landed you in this mess?" Told the judge he was a jerk, basically. "That'll do it," he chuckled. "So how long you in for?" 6 months, unless I apologize." "So, 6 months, I guess." We talked, ate, and got some stares from the other inmates. Ringer filled me in on what to expect. He promised to have my back, and I promised the same. We reminisced about the old days. "After hearing all that, what's your plan with your ex, her partners, and the judge?" he asked, knowing me since I was young. Back then, revenge was always my go-to. That's why they called me Tex. They called me Tex because of Texas, like don't mess with Texas. Anyone who did paid for it. They'd think twice before messing with me again, and they'd spread the word too. "So what went down with the judge?" he asked. I basically told him he was trash. "Damn, how'd he react?" he asked. "He took my daughter away, even though she wanted to live with me. And then he practically accused me of hurting her. Damn." "So what's your move?" "I've got some things cooking." I knew I might end up here, so I started planning weeks ago. "Need any help?" he offered. "Maybe not sure yet, but it's good to have a friend in here. I'll introduce you to some of my buddies. It's important to have people you can trust to watch your back." That night, lying in bed, I questioned how things had come to this. Reflecting on my rough childhood with an abusive father and a passive mother, I realized the streets became my refuge. I joined a group of guys in similar situations. Not a gang, just kids dealing with tough hands. Our actions didn't help Riverview's high crime rate, mostly petty crimes, but we did steal a car or two, leading me to juvie. Looking back, it was a turning point. I promised to change and plan for a better future. At 20, I bought a tax-foreclosed house, the first of many. I renovated and rented out. At 22, at a club whose name I've forgotten, I met Jessica. Her life was a contrast to mine, raised in Bedford, Indiana, a small town known for its limestone. Despite our differences, we clicked, got married a year later, and welcomed Emma a year after that, named after Jessica's mother. I bought a house in Maplewood, intending to flip it, but when she saw it, she fell in love and wanted to turn it into our home. Over the next decade, we worked on it together, raising our daughter, hosting BBQs, living the American dream. Then Jessica got a job at a law firm, and things changed, especially her attitude. The simple life wasn't enough anymore. She wanted expensive clothes, jewelry, and dining out replaced our backyard BBQs. She also started making disrespectful remarks about Southside Chicagoans. I understand the Southside's reputation, but she, a small-town girl, acted superior to everyone else. We argued about her attitude, and soon after she insisted we move to the North Side. 3 years ago we did, hoping for better schools, but Emma faced snobby classmates. She wanted to go back home, and so did I, but Jessica refused. The divorce started one night when she said she was going dancing. I tracked her phone and saw her dancing intimately with men from the club, kissing and groping in plain sight. Around 9:15, I had to use the bathroom. While I was there, a guy came in. Just as he finished, another guy walked in. "Joe, you were really getting close with Jessica on the dance floor." "I thought you were going to make a move right there," the first guy said. "Yeah, she's wild," Joe replied. "She knows how to talk too," the second guy added. "For sure. She told me she's going home with me tonight. Finally, we'll have more time for fun instead of just quickies in the office or my car," Joe boasted. "Quick relief is okay, but it's nothing like the whole deal," the second guy commented. "Tonight's going to be a long one," Joe bragged. "Maybe next weekend it'll be my turn," the second guy said as they left the restroom. Their talk seemed more than just bragging. When I stepped out, I saw her in one of the guy's arms, kissing on the dance floor. Around 9:30, she texted me saying she drank too much and didn't feel safe taking the L late at night. She said she'd stay at Paulus, another paralegal from her office. I replied, "That's okay." She texted back, "Sorry," she'd regret it. I watched as she grabbed her purse and left the club, arm in arm with a young lawyer from her office. I followed them. They were so wrapped up in each other that they didn't notice me. They got into his Lexus, kissing and touching each other for a while. I was getting angry, but then my Southside toughness kicked in, and I calmed down, making my plans. I trailed them to his place. They went into the parking garage, so I headed for the mansion. When I got there, I told Emma we were leaving for good, and she should pack whatever she wanted because we weren't coming back. She was thrilled, but asked about Mom. "She's got other guys to take care of her now," I said, and she got it right away. It took us about 3 hours, but we loaded everything into my truck. Luckily, our old place in Maplewood was empty, so we had somewhere to go. Around 11:00 the next morning, Saturday, she called me. "Dave, what's happening? Where are you?" "Home," I replied. It didn't take her long to understand why. She asked, knowing why. "I don't know you anymore, and I don't want to." "Where's Emma?" "With me. She doesn't want to live with you there anymore." She wasn't sure if I knew about her affair or not, so she tried. "Come on, Dave. Just because you don't like living luxuriously doesn't mean you can leave and take our daughter." "No, Jessica, but having a cheating wife is a good reason to leave. Expect divorce papers next week." She gasped, then said in her usual nasty way, "You low-life Southsider, you have no idea what trouble you're in for. My firm will crush you." "Maybe," I said, "but I'll come out on top. You haven't seen the last of my anger." For the next 6 months, she didn't try to patch things up. Emma revealed Jessica's absence until late at night, and her harsh comments about me, urging Emma to marry a rich guy for a life of luxury. But Emma defended me. wanting to return to Maplewood. Now in jail, Jessica likely thinks she's won, but I'll make use of my time to plan my revenge. I wonder if she's considered how bills will be paid or her insurance and support. Then one Thursday, something occurred that would impact many lives, even those I'd never meet. The guards escorted me to a video room without my lawyer. They instructed me to sit down for judgment. They shut the door, and moments later they let in 6 inmates, and I knew trouble was brewing. I woke up in the infirmary, all injured and sore. They wanted to show they were in charge, and this was their way. It looked like morning from the sunlight coming in. I'd been out all night. Glaring at the nurse, I felt bitter about the system that took my kid, made me fund my ex-luxury, and tossed me in jail. I was tied down and my eyes were filled with hate. She assured, "I'm here to help, not hurt. You're badly injured. I can aid your healing or you can stay in pain." Managing a smile, I apologized. She understood my anger. Leaving briefly, she returned with breakfast and freed my hand. As I ate, I decided to ask for a favor to see Randall Turner. She promised to check and arranged his visit. When he entered, he exclaimed, "Oh, crap." He knew I wasn't about to let this slide. I described the 6 guys and 2 guards who attacked me. Then I said, "I need the full names of all 8, not just their nicknames." "Oh, crap," he repeated. "What's your plan?" "An eye for an eye, but with a twist," I replied. "I'll try to get the names," he said. "What do you need me to do?" "Just that. I'll handle the rest." After some more talk, he was taken back to his cell. I had a restless night, strapped to the bed and unable to get comfortable. The next day, Ringer returned with the list. Once again, he asked, "What's your plan?" "The less you know, the better," I replied. "Oh, crap," he muttered. The following day, Sunday, brought both good and bad surprises. Jessica had come along with Emma. Jessica spoke first. "So I see you're getting along with your fellow scum," she remarked. "What the heck do you want?" I snapped. Emma insisted we visit. "You ready to apologize and be reasonable yet?" she asked. "No way, and what's this nonsense about me and Emma?" "You know I'd never do anything to her," I retorted. "How do I know?" "She seems unusually attached to you," she said. "You 43? Why don't you go back to your lovers and let them screw you over?" "Maybe then you'll see how full of it you are," I shot back. "Just so you know, I've offered myself to them, and they loved it," she bragged. "Get out of here and send Emma in." "I'm done talking to you," I exclaimed. She smirked, thinking she was getting under my skin. She was, but she was just adding fuel to the fire that would burn her in the end. When they brought Emma in, she burst into tears at the sight of me, all bandaged up. "Sweetheart, don't cry. It looks worse than it is," I reassured her. We chatted about small things, then I asked, "Can you do something for me?" "Of course, Dad, anything." I handed her the list Ringer gave me, and she quickly tucked it into her bra. "Give this to Uncle Ken and tell him to come visit me ASAP." My brother Ken was 3 years younger. We both grew up with an abusive father, but I shielded him from it as much as I could. He was the brains of the family, getting into computer games and eventually computers themselves. We kept chatting until Jessica returned and said, "Emma, it's time to leave." Emma didn't respond to her, just hugged me and walked out. Jessica commented, "Your daughter is just as stubborn as you." I simply smiled as she walked away. On Tuesday, Ken came to visit. He was surprised by how I looked. "You're looking better than you did last Friday," I joked. "I'm glad I waited," he quipped back. Then he started talking to me in our secret language, the one we made up when we were kids to talk about Mom and Dad without them understanding. "Whenever we need to talk privately, we use it. Emma, he said in our language. She gave me the list. "I've done some initial digging." "What are you looking for?" "Addresses of wives or steady girlfriends," I replied. He looked at me and then said in English, "Oh, crap." Using our language, I said, "That's all you need to do. Then give it to Gummy and tell him to visit me, but without the list." Gummy was one of my crew. Ken knew he was still living in our parents' old house in Lansing. "I can handle that." "Anything else?" Ken asked. "No, that'll do, but don't be a stranger." "I could use some familiar faces now and then," I said. "Aren't you getting out soon?" he inquired. "Not unless I apologize, and you know me better than that," I replied. "You've always been stubborn," he remarked. "Yeah, and it spared you from Dad's drunken anger," I reminded him. He knew I was right and just grinned. I'll swing by in the next couple of weeks, see if you need anything else, he offered. That'd be great, I replied. Later in the week, I was back in my usual cell, and Ringer had spread the word that something was brewing and there'd be consequences. They just didn't know what. The looks I got from the guards and the 6 inmates warned me to stay in line, or else, little did they know, they'd soon be put in their place. Gummy visited and said, "Ken passed it to me. What's the plan? Did you hear what happened to me?" I asked. "Yeah, I did," he replied. Ken must have filled him in. "Payback time, but hit their loved ones, no traces. Use Steely Dan or his cousins," I instructed. He understood and nodded. "Coordinate it same day, same time." "Make sure they're told don't mess with Texas," I added. "I'll get some help," he assured before leaving. Had exact revenge soon, ensuring they couldn't trace it back, but they'd know why. A week passed with no word. I awaited my daughter's visit, dreading seeing Jessica. Tuesday morning I noticed the guards were absent, unusual for a weekday, and one of the 6 inmates seemed distracted and upset. It must have happened yesterday, I figured. I told Ringer to spread the word, "Don't mess with Texas." Soon inmates were calling me Tex. Within days, the 6 inmates were glaring at me and the guards watched closely, but Ringer's crew had my back. When one of the 6 inmates approached, 8 of my allies surrounded us. "You scum, my girl dumped me because of you," he said. "Don't mess with Texas," he spat. I smiled. "Sounds like sound advice. I warned you. Now your ladies know how it feels. An eye for an eye with a twist. You hurt me, I hurt the ones you love. Tell them next time it'll be their moms." His eyes widened, and he hurried back to his friends. Soon after, the 2 guards approached me cursing. "Who the heck do you think you are? Well, make your stay here a nightmare." "Well then, I guess your wives better get ready for a rough ride. They might even enjoy it," I retorted. One of the guards lunged to punch me. I didn't resist. After enduring his blows for a couple of minutes, another guard intervened and pulled him away. Many inmates witnessed the altercation, as did the cameras, I'm sure. I was taken back to the infirmary, where Beth, the nurse who treated me before, greeted me. "So we've got a troublemaker, huh?" she remarked. "I didn't throw any punches, the guard just attacked me," I explained. "Well, there will be an investigation." This time there were too many witnesses. "He'll likely lose his job over it," she assured. "One less jerk guard," I muttered. "Those guards are here to keep you safe, whether you like it or not," Beth countered. "He sure didn't keep me safe last time." "In fact, he let it happen," I shot back. After she bandaged me up, Beth said I'd need to stay overnight for observation. I wondered if she just wanted to check out my battered face. The guard was suspended pending investigation. The other guard gave me stern looks but hesitated to confront me. Maybe he got the message. Don't mess with Texas. It had been 3 weeks since Emma visited, and I was worried. Finally, Ken stopped by and informed me that Jessica was refusing to bring Emma for a visit. That infuriated me even more. My ex-wife was keeping my daughter away from me. At the end of the month, Jessica showed up, almost leaving Emma in the car. But Emma refused to budge, no matter how much yelling and screaming Jessica did. Jessica stormed in, already mad. "Your daughter is impossible. She hardly talks to me. She's just as stubborn as you. You said the same thing last time. Why don't you get the judge to change his mind and give me custody of her?" "I'd gladly take her off your hands," I suggested. "You're not getting her. She needs to go to a good school to succeed," Jessica insisted. "Maplewood is a good school, and she liked it," I argued. "It's nothing compared to Riverview." "She's getting a top-notch education and networking opportunities there," Jessica shot back. "Our daughter will find her own path. She doesn't need to rely on anyone else," I countered. "You're just too stubborn to see the benefits," Jessica accused. "We've had this argument countless times. You won't change my mind, and I won't change yours. Why did you come here anyway?" "It wasn't to bring Emma to me," I challenged. "Her name is Emma, not Emma. That's not what she wants to be called." "Don't you want her to be independent?" I retorted. "You mean stubborn," Jessica corrected. "No, I mean independent, able to think for herself, make her own choices, not swayed by wealth, power, or a Big Johnson," I clarified. She glared at me, knowing that last remark was aimed at her. "Anyway," she said, I need my spousal support payment. I have things to buy and bills to pay. Well, you'll have to manage that with your own paycheck. I can't receive checks from my Scorp while I'm in jail, nor should I. No work means no pay. That's how it works in the real world, I explained. What do you mean? I can't cover all the bills with my salary, she protested. Well, you should have thought about that before dragging me back to court, I retorted. You were being difficult paying with change, she argued. And now you get no payment because I'm in jail, I stated. But you have to, she insisted. No, I don't. What are they going to do, throw me in jail again? Oh, I'm already in jail. It wouldn't be smart for them to take me out just to throw me back in, I reasoned. What am I supposed to do about the bills? She wailed. I looked at her and said, get one of your lawyer buddies to foot the bills. I'm sure you're worth it. With that, she stormed out of the room. Emma walked in, and I was relieved to see her. You really got her mad, she exclaimed. She thinks I should keep paying her spousal support while I'm stuck in here. Good luck with that, I chuckled. How are you holding up, Dad? Don't worry about me. I'll be okay. How about you? Still avoiding talking to your mom? Yeah, just when I have to, she replied. So when do you think you'll be out of here? Honey, I won't apologize to that jerk of a judge. The only way I'd say sorry is if he gave you back to me, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I might be in here until my 6 months are up. I get it, she said sadly. My birthday's next month. I'd love for you to be out so we could celebrate, but I wouldn't want you to compromise your principles. We can have a big celebration when you're out. That hit me hard. I started thinking maybe I was being too stubborn. Being in here was hurting my little girl. Then Emma dropped some wisdom on me. If a person doesn't have principles, he has nothing. Like Abraham Lincoln said, important principles may and must be inflexible, she quoted. Where'd you hear that? I asked. My counselor, Dr. Hodges at school. It's been helpful having someone to talk to about all this. Some teachers noticed my grades slipping and got the counselor to chat with me. It's also helping me deal with Mom, even though I'm still not talking to her. Figures a fancy school like Riverview would have a PhD as their counselor. Those rich kids couldn't just chat with any regular school counselor. I turned to Emma and said, looks like your mom's not too happy with you either. Yeah, she's getting pretty annoyed with me. I just brush it off. It seems to make her even angrier, but I'm not bothered, Emma replied. Well, in a couple more months, she'll have to find somewhere else to live. The bank won't wait forever for its jumbo loan payment. I reckon her mansion will be foreclosed on within 3 months, I explained. But Dad, won't that mess up your credit if the house gets foreclosed? Emma asked. Honey, when you usually pay with cash, you don't worry about credit. That dumb mansion was the only thing I ever borrowed money for, I clarified. Really? Wow, Dad. Even with all your rental properties and other businesses, you never took out a loan? Emma marveled. I used cash from the others to buy new ones, I revealed. Dad, I've always admired you, but now even more, she said, smiling. Thanks, honey. You sure know how to lift my spirits, I responded. It was wonderful seeing my daughter, but it made me wish we could spend more time together regularly. Missing her birthday would be tough for both of us, but I knew she was strong. The following week, I heard that the guard who hit me was fired. It was hard to argue against the video evidence showing me not fighting back. Soon after, the other guard left too. I'm not sure if he got transferred, but at least he was gone. Many inmates thanked me for getting rid of the bad guards. I think I gained some respect, and more people started calling me Tex. After that, I had fewer problems. The 6 inmates were still angry with me. I heard that one of their wives filed for divorce, and 3 others got dumped by their girlfriends. Maybe foolish people can learn. With the threat of more revenge and my improved standing among the inmates, they knew better than to mess with me. A couple of weeks later, I received a summons to meet with the judge in the video room. I told the guard I wouldn't meet anyone without my lawyer. He insisted the judge was waiting, but I stood my ground. I wanted my lawyer present, and if needed, they could reschedule because my schedule was open. I was informed 3 days later that the meeting was scheduled for the following week. I requested a half-hour session with my lawyer before the meeting for discussion. They arranged it, and my lawyer and I met to strategize. My lawyer mentioned he hadn't received any details about the meeting, which struck him as odd. We decided to proceed cautiously. When the judge appeared on the video, he seemed displeased about the delay. I wasn't bothered. To me, he was just an arrogant judge who thought he was above everyone else. My lawyer wasted no time and started speaking. Your Honor, could you clarify the purpose of this meeting? We received no prior information, just instructions to attend. You didn't need to involve your lawyer, he replied. I simply wanted to see if you were ready to apologize for your behavior in court. I signaled to my lawyer, who leaned in as I whispered to him. Your Honor, my lawyer responded, my client refuses to apologize and instead requests an apology from you. Additionally, he seeks primary custody of his child. The judge appeared shocked. How could I ask for an apology? Obviously, he wasn't going to comply. I stand by my decision regarding the child, and I owe no apology, he declared. In that case, this meeting has been a waste of time. If my client changes his mind in the future, we'll seek another hearing. Good day, sir, my lawyer concluded. One more thing, the judge interjected. I thought to myself, now we'll learn the true reason behind this meeting. Your client isn't meeting the divorce terms. When will he start paying spousal support and the mortgage? The judge asked. I whispered to my lawyer again, sharing my response. My client doesn't plan to make payments while he's in jail, my lawyer informed the judge. But the house is going into foreclosure, the judge pointed out. That's my wife's mansion, not my home. I never wanted it, I clarified, addressing the judge directly. You'll ruin your credit and lose your equity, he warned. I'm willing to take that hit to see my ex-wife where she belongs, I retorted. Then, knowing it would infuriate him, I added, maybe her lovers can foot the bill. With a dozen of them, they can surely manage. I knew suggesting my wife was promiscuous and he was one of her lovers would anger him. You worthless scum from the South Side, who do you think you're talking to? He exploded. Before he could continue, I interjected, I'm addressing someone who's been involved with my wife. If I'm mistaken, I apologize, but I'm baffled why someone with no stake seems so concerned. I stood up and headed towards the door to leave. I heard the judge say, Your client just earned himself an extra 2 months in jail. If he keeps disrespecting me, I'll make his life a living hell. I grinned as I waited for the guard to take me back to my cell. He looked stunned, clearly shocked by what I'd just done. Back in my cell, I was buzzing with energy. It seemed my wife had mentioned the mortgage to her lovers, who then talked to the judge. What a mess. Their time was coming. The following Sunday, Jessica couldn't resist visiting me in jail. Fortunately, Emma caught wind of it and insisted on coming along. So you managed to anger the judge again and score 2 more months. When will you learn you can't beat the system? Jessica scolded. Jessica, why don't you just stop talking to me? Your North Side attitude isn't helping. I just need you to make sure Emma visits me regularly, I replied. She practically screamed, It's Emma. I turned away and refused to engage with her further. She kept complaining until she finally left, and then Emma entered. She entered with a big smile on her face. I asked her why she was so happy. Because I get to see my dad, she exclaimed. That can't be the only reason, I said. Well, I do have a surprise for you, but I can't reveal it yet. Dad, do you trust me? With my life, I replied. Then will you sign this paper without reading it? She asked, holding up a folded piece of paper. I eyed her suspiciously. What's going on? You'll have to wait and see. You trust me, right? I grinned and signed the paper. Emma had it folded so only the spot for my name was visible. Mom said something about you getting 2 more months added to your jail time. Is that true? She asked. Yeah, sorry about that, honey. What happened? I had another disagreement with the judge. Well, whatever you did, he probably deserved it. We chatted more about school and her mom. She kept bringing up this Dr. Alex Hodges and wondering what was happening. I tried to pry the surprise she had planned with my signature, but she insisted on keeping it a secret. Well, I'm bummed I won't be there for your sweet 16, but I'll have a birthday present ready for you when you visit next, I said. What is it? She asked. That's a surprise. Looks like we both have surprises in store, I replied. Before she left, I asked Emma to arrange for Greg to visit me. Greg was my right-hand man handling all my business matters. "Sure thing, Dad," she said. I had given Greg a few tasks to handle when I expected to be jailed. Hopefully, he managed to take care of them. Now I had another task for him. Emma's birthday surprise. Later that week, Greg came to see me. He had managed to handle most of the tasks I assigned him. Then I briefed him on Emma's birthday surprise. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Yeah, it's the perfect gift for her," I confirmed. "Okay, I'll talk to our lawyer," he agreed. "Also, drop by my brother Ken's place and give him what you've got. He'll know what to do. If he's got any questions, tell him to come see me. If not, tell him to get in touch with Gummy." "Got it," he said before leaving. I couldn't help but smile, knowing that Gummy would carry out my revenge plans while I stayed innocent in jail. By the end of the month, my status among the inmates had improved. That guard must have spread the word about how I stood up to the judge, and like any other grapevine, the news quickly spread. Soon everyone was calling me Tex. At the end of the month, I had a surprise visitor. Walking into the room, I spotted Jessica sitting there. I almost turned to leave, but she stopped me. "Dave, please stay. I need to talk to you," she pleaded. "I've got nothing to say to you, Jessica," I retorted. "We're about to lose our house. Please, you have to give me some money to stop the foreclosure," she begged. "Jessica, that house is yours. I never wanted it, but you kept insisting until I gave in. It means nothing to me, and with the market down, we've got no equity in it." "Let the bank take it," I said firmly. "You can't do that, Dave. You have to help me," she insisted. "Go ask your friends for help. I'm sure they got enough money." "Then you can be the person you truly are," I snapped. "Why are you doing this?" she cried. "Why did you lie to the judge about me molesting our daughter?" I fired back. She was speechless. She knew she'd wronged me. Sobbing, she broke down, and I walked out, feeling relieved to have spoken my mind. On the way back to my cell, the guard got a call and was told to bring me back. Expecting to see Jessica begging for help again, I was surprised to find Emma. "Emma, your mom didn't tell me she brought you," I said. "I wouldn't let her come alone," she replied. "I'm sorry I missed your birthday," I told her, "but I've got a present for you regardless." "Dad, I knew you wouldn't be there, and it's okay. I still love you, and you don't have to give me anything," she assured me. What an amazing daughter I have, I thought. "Well, I don't have it with me, but I can tell you what it is, Emma. The Maplewood home is yours. It's going into a trust for you until you're an adult, and when I get out, can I stay there?" "Of course. I'll pay you rent," I promised her. Then Gummy visited. Everything was set footage of my wife, other paralegals, and politicians doing illegal things. We had hidden cameras installed by cleaners who were paid well. We'd expose them all. My brother would anonymously post the videos online with a tagline, "Don't mess with Texas." News outlets and tabloids would go wild. Politicians and lawyers would scramble to cover up. I grinned and told him next week spread the word about what's next. He agreed, got it. Walking back to my cell, I grinned again. Ringer saw and knew I'd talked to Gummy. He muttered, "Uh-ho." I just nodded, smiling wider. When the videos dropped, I was in my bunk. I heard chatter spreading in the jail. Clearly, news had reached us. People were saying, "Don't mess with Texas." Surprisingly, the big guy, one of the 6, came to my cell. He apologized for what he did. "I warned you not to mess with me. Now others regret it. I match kindness with kindness and violence with violence." He hoped I'd accept his apology. "Sure, but remember, size doesn't make you invincible." He nodded and left. 3 days later, I was called by the judge, my lawyer on the way. In the video room, waiting for the judge, my lawyer smirked. "Wonder what this is about." "Time will tell," I grinned. He muttered, "Uh-oh." When the judge appeared, furious, accusing me, he yelled, "You did this." I deadpanned, "What are you talking about? You're Tex, right?" He still yelled. "I've been called that," I replied calmly. "You'll pay for this," he yelled again. "I've been locked up for 4 months. How could I have done anything?" I stated. "You have friends." "We all have friends, Your Honor," I retorted sarcastically. "You won't get away with this," he spat. "I don't know, Judge. You might lose your job soon and your wife's divorcing you," I countered. "Call off your dogs," he demanded. "Now you're calling my friends dogs? They might not like that." "Corner a dog, you might get bit," I warned. "Are you threatening me?" he questioned. No, just stating an old saying, I clarified. I'll make your life hell. Watch your back when you get out. You'll answer to people who don't care about you, and I'll be happy with whatever happens, he threatened before cutting off. I turned to my lawyer. Got that? Sure did. He nodded, showing his phone. More evidence. The Bar Association will want to know. Intimidation's a felony in Illinois. A few days later, my wife visited again. Oh, it's you. I thought I made it clear I had nothing to say, I remarked. You bastard, she yelled. What's wrong? I asked calmly. You got me fired. My face is everywhere because of you. How could you? She complained. You did it, not me, I countered. Do you hate me that much? Yeah, and all your lawyer buddies who think they're above everyone else, I retorted. You used to be a nice small-town girl with a great personality. Now you're just a selfish city snob, I continued. What do I do now? No job and nobody wants to hire me, she lamented. Maybe move back home with your folks and start over, I suggested. I can't. The local paper's calling me the center of a Chicago scandal. My parents are retiring early and moving to Florida to avoid the gossip, she explained. Florida might suit you, far away from me, I remarked, but they don't want me either. They barely talk to me. Maybe it's your fault if both your parents and daughter don't want to be around you, I remarked. You should move and start fresh. Just don't take Emma with you. They'll fight for custody once I'm out. With your reputation, they'll reconsider you as a moral example. You can't do that. She's all I have, she protested. I don't care. You did this to yourself. We had a good life until you messed around. Maybe you could become a companion for one of your lawyer buddies. At almost 40, you might still find a market, I taunted. She looked pained, her head dropping to the table as she cried. Tough luck, I remarked. Did you bring Emma? She got mad, saying, It's Emma, and no, she's with her doctor friend, she snapped. Then there's nothing more to talk about. Don't bother coming back unless you bring Emma, I said, walking away. This time I didn't feel smug. I felt sorry for her. She was shattered. The next day I watched a news report. A fire had broken out on the top floor of a downtown office building, gutting it. The lower floors were saved by sprinklers. I couldn't help but smile. Ken visited me the following day, saying the law firm's off-site server crashed, losing all their data. Again, I just smiled. A couple of weeks later, Emma came to see me, beaming. She must have convinced her mom to bring her. She looked happier than ever. Emma, I greeted her, you seem so happy. What's up? I finally finished your surprise. You'll never guess, she exclaimed. Well, from our last chat, it sounds like it involves the Maplewood house. Did you and your mom move back there? I guessed. Close, she replied cryptically. I was confused. What do you mean? Mom's getting kicked out of the Riverview house and I'm moving to Maplewood, she revealed. How's that possible? The court gave your mom custody until you're an adult, I reminded her. That's the surprise. I got emancipated, she announced. With the house in trust for me, it was easy. I needed a safe place, and our old neighborhood is perfect. So you're legally an adult now? I clarified, still trying to wrap my head around it. Yeah, when school got tough due to home issues, Dr. Hodges helped me out. Once you're out, we can go back home. I'm excited to return to high school in Maplewood. Already caught up with old friends. They're eager for school to start. Mom mentioned you spending time with your counselor. I'd like to meet Alex, I said, wary of an older guy's attention to my daughter. You're in luck. Alex brought me here today, Emma replied. My concern spiked. He's driving her around Chicago? I'll be right back, she said, heading for the door. I needed to tread carefully, how to let Alex know his boundaries with my daughter without upsetting her. When Emma returned, she wasn't alone. A stunning woman followed her, smiling at me. I recognized her, Freddie. Haven't heard that name in 20 years, she replied. Freddie, or Alexandria Frederico, grew up in my neighborhood. We went to school together. Emma looked puzzled. Dad, how do you know Dr. Hodges? Freddie and I were neighbors. We didn't hang out much, I explained. And you were a troublemaker back then, she teased. Seems not much has changed. I flushed. Some things never change. That makes sense, she said. Should I start calling you Tex? Why Tex? Emma asked. It was his nickname growing up. He wasn't one to let things slide. Your mom's done him wrong, and I bet he's behind the law firm mess, she speculated. I plead the fifth, I joked. Before we continue, I hope you don't mind me spending time with Emma, she asked. It's Emma, Emma corrected. Oops, my bad, she apologized. When I first talked to Emma 9 months ago, she was upset. I noticed her last name, Cooper, not common. When I saw her dad's name was Dave, I thought of you, Tex. When she mentioned you were in jail, I was pretty sure. I wasn't great back then, I admitted. You must have turned things around to have a place in Riverview, she observed. It's just a house, not home, I clarified. Our real home's in Maplewood, Emma interjected. South Side, but better than where we grew up, Alex added. Yeah, I wish we stayed there. Maybe things would be different, I reflected sadly. It was true. If Jessica had been satisfied, we'd still be together. After chatting, I thanked Freddie for helping Emma. No problem, Tex. She's like family, Freddie replied. I've grown attached. Thanks again, I said. When you're out, let's grab dinner, she suggested. I'll make sure of it if I ever get out, I said with a sigh. The following 2 weeks passed by without any changes, just the usual routine in jail. Emma and Freddie visited both Sundays, which I appreciated. Freddie really looked after Emma. She mentioned that Alex helped her decorate the house, buying new furniture and decor. When I asked about the money, Emma said, Uncle Ken's helping out and I have my own savings, remember? Yeah, I just didn't want Freddie footing the bill, I replied. She's been great, but no, she hasn't paid for anything, Emma reassured. I hope it's not all girly stuff. I want to feel at home there, I mentioned. Don't worry, your man cave's untouched, she assured, referring to the basement, my retreat from living with 2 females. After they left, I pondered my daughter's maturity. She's legally an adult now. Soon I'll be on my own. In a couple of years, she'll head to college. I hope to find someone who valued simple things. Then Jessica visited on Monday. I almost left when I saw her. Dave, wait, we need to talk, she said. I sighed and turned back. What now? Do you know what our daughter did? Jessica asked. What are you talking about? I inquired. She got emancipated. She's moved out and I don't know where she is, Jessica explained. Oh, that, I said. So you knew? Did you push her into it? Jessica accused. No, she did it herself with her school counselor's help, I clarified. She's back on the South Side. What about school? Jessica asked, concerned. I told her she's going back to Maplewood in the fall, I stated. She hated that Riverview school, Jessica. She was always belittled for being from the projects, as they called it. You took her from a school where she was happy with good friends and put her in a situation that damaged her self-esteem. You did more harm than good moving her there. I was trying to ensure she got a good education, she defended. Kids learn from their parents' example more than in a classroom. We taught her life's lessons. What do you think your example teaches her? I hope it shows her what not to do. Our job is to raise responsible adults. I hope we've done that despite our failures, especially in our marriage, I reflected. It wasn't all bad, she countered, but it ended up that way. I hope you find what you're looking for. Clearly, I didn't have it, I responded. Seeing her sorrow and regret, I left the table feeling sorry for her once more. Finally, the day came for my release. I was summoned to court. Emma, Freddie, and Jessica were there. As I waited for the judge, I wondered what he'd say. I wasn't going to apologize. We rose as the judge entered. It wasn't the same one. Maybe the other lost his job. After reviewing the facts, the judge addressed me. Mr. Cooper, what do you have to say for yourself? I've served my initial 6 months, plus an extra 2, I replied. You could have apologized and been freed, he reminded. I didn't feel the other judge deserved my apology, so I completed his sentence, I stated. You're stubborn, the judge remarked. I prefer strong-willed. It's helped me in business and life, I retorted. Your divorce settlement stands and you'll need to pay restitution for the time not served, the judge concluded. Then my lawyer chimed in saying, Your Honor, my client is willing to pay what he owes. Our calculation comes to just under $15,000. Today, he'll pay her the full $15,000, understanding that he's met his financial obligations and won't owe any more. Jessica stood up in protest. What? You owe me more than that. You need to keep paying until Emma turns 18. The judge intervened sternly. Miss, I'll handle all matters in my courtroom. Now, counselor, explain your calculations. My client paid the initial spousal support, mortgage, and insurance, as well as supported his daughter financially. During his time in jail, he couldn't pay spousal support or the mortgage because he wasn't employed. Now that he can work, he can start earning again, my lawyer explained. After reviewing the facts, the judge remarked, "Your client was incarcerated for 8 months. Just the spousal support would be $96,000, not to mention the mortgage." Your Honor, the court order stated, until the minor child becomes a legal adult. The child in question has been emancipated for the last 3 months, as documented. The house was foreclosed upon 3 months ago, so there couldn't be payments on a non-existent loan. The total owed is $1,500. Hell, pay her $15,000 and consider all ties severed, my lawyer clarified. The judge scrutinized the documents and our calculations. He couldn't dispute the facts presented. He'll need to do further research on this. If what you've presented is accurate, then he'll accept this amount. Then he addressed both Jessica and me. You share a child. Despite her legal status, she's still a teenager with needs. You both need to be civil for her sake. And Mr. Cooper, you should extend that civility to others involved in your divorce. Can I get your word on that? Yes, Your Honor, I acknowledged. Mrs. Cooper, the judge addressed. Yes, Your Honor, she replied. And Emma? He looked at Emma in the gallery. It's Emma, but yes, Your Honor, she clarified. Then unless these figures prove false, I'll close this case. Mr. Cooper, you're free to go, the judge declared. Thank you, Your Honor. My lawyer expressed gratitude. As we left, Emma rushed over and hugged me tightly, while Freddie stood nearby, smiling. I noticed Jessica glaring at us. She then approached me, exclaiming, $15,000, that's it? That's unfair. Why? You chose your new partners over me. They can support you now, I responded calmly. You can't do this to me, she protested. Jessica, let's be civil for Emma's sake, I urged. It's Emma, she snapped. Our daughter, okay? I reiterated. What am I supposed to do? I have nothing, she lamented. You'll find another job, and I can help with housing. I have a rental you can stay in rent-free for 6 months, I offered. Move back to the south side, she whined. It's free, Jessica. Can't argue with that, I reasoned. Oh, she sighed in frustration. Turning to Emma and Freddie, I asked, Ready to go? Absolutely, they both chimed. Freddie, I owe you dinner, I remembered. I think so too, she agreed. Let's head to Bella Italia. I made a reservation after getting release confirmation. I need to erase the taste of jail food, I suggested. From the corner of my eye, I saw Jessica's fury. Bella Italia was our spot for special occasions. I booked the table for 6:30, so we've got some time. Mind if we take a drive? I just want to feel the freedom, I suggested. Then turning to Freddie, I asked, I reserved for 4. Can you check if your husband can join us? She fell silent, her expression blank. Then Emma spoke up. Dad, she doesn't have a husband anymore. I never told you. I was confused. Freddie always wore wedding rings whenever we talked, and she still had them on. What was I missing? I'm sorry, Freddie. I didn't mean to upset you. I apologized. It's okay. You didn't know. My husband died in a car accident on the highway about 5 years ago. A big rig forced him into the divider. They said he died instantly, Freddie revealed. I'm deeply sorry, Freddie. I had no idea. I assumed because you wore rings that you were married, I expressed regret. Yeah, I just can't bring myself to take them off yet. Feels like letting him go. I know, a psychologist with a mental issue. I've heard it before, Freddie responded. Well, I'm sorry. Will you still join us so I can make it up to you? I asked. She looked solemn but agreed. I think that'll be okay. I realized I'd been too caught up in my own troubles and revenge to ask about her life. I felt awful. I resolved to change that from now on. I'd be open to hearing her story, to being a better friend. The dinner was fantastic. It was a relief to wear regular clothes and not constantly watch my back. But being free felt a bit strange after 8 months. By the end of the meal, I felt more at ease. I asked, Freddie, Alexandria, whenever you're ready, would you let me take you out on a proper date? I'll wait however long it takes. Can we keep in touch until then? Dad, we're definitely keeping in touch. She's not getting rid of me that easily, Emma reassured. And I wouldn't want it any other way, Freddie replied to Emma. Then she turned to me and explained, Mike and I never had kids. With my studies and his business, the timing wasn't right. Having Emma as a sort of daughter has been therapeutic for me. I hope that's okay with you. After everything you've done for us, I wouldn't want it any other way, I assured her. Leaving the restaurant, Emma mentioned, "Hope you like how our old house looks." "Anything's better than where I've been the past 8 months," I joked. Arriving there, I was surprised. The shutters were painted, the bushes trimmed. It looked great outside, and inside felt more like a home than ever. I could sense Freddie's influence. Cheesy as it sounds, tears welled up in my eyes. This toughened criminal was emotional. "Dave!" Freddie called out. Wiping my eyes, I admitted, "I feel like I'm home, Dave," Alex said. I turned to her, puzzled. She removed her rings, smiling at me. Unable to resist, I smiled back and we hugged. 10 lawyers, 4 paralegals, 6 politicians, and a judge saw their careers and marriages destroyed because of the events surrounding my divorce and its aftermath. Whether seen as stubborn or strong-willed, sometimes sticking to your principles pays off. On a positive note, Emma gained a new mother as well as a younger brother and sister, both about 18 years her junior. They were twins named Frederick and Alexis, and I found it fitting to name them after the person who helped me start anew. As for Jessica, she married a wealthy lawyer, perhaps finally achieving what she desired. While I believed we had everything, a loving family, a nice home in a good neighborhood, a healthy child, and a successful business that alleviated financial concerns, she seemed to crave status above all else. Now she has that status, married to a rich lawyer, residing in a large house in Winnetka. However, she also has a husband who is a disrespectful womanizer, using her for appearances rather than genuine affection. I hope she's content. I know I am. Thanks for watching. What would you have done if you were in Dave's shoes? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking stories. See you in the next video.